Hey ho, my name is Joe. Welcome back to my channel. Today is day 5 of my reading reset. Hello there. As I said, my name is Joe, and I am Fight and Read Like a Girl, where I do things bookish and polycystic ovarian syndrome related. If you happen to land on this video, I'm right in the middle of a reading reset where I go through all the books that I read from the previous year. I talk about the good ones, I talk about the bad ones. I just basically reset my reading year. It's kind of like a recap, if you will. And if you are returning, thank you. I am so happy you are here. I am so grateful for your support on this channel. I feel like lately it's just been kind of random, but with this reading reset, I've been trying to post every single day until January 12th, and so far we're doing great. Let's not jinx it though. Okay, so if you are here, just thank you. I'm grateful for you. So today we're going to be talking about the worst books and the books that I DNF'd. Now, a little disclaimer here. One, I don't like to talk bad about books because somebody had poured their heart and their soul into writing that book. And these opinions on these books are my own. And if you liked one of these books that I mentioned, I'm sorry, but there was one expression I heard at one point, and it does stick in my brain. Everybody can read the same book, but not everybody reads the same book. So everybody absorbs a book differently. So just because I didn't like a certain book doesn't mean that you won't. Now, I am going to go into depth on why I didn't really care for the books, but I also have some books I DNF'd too that I'm going to talk about. This is going to be probably a little bit of a long-winded video. I'm going to try not to make this really long, but let's just go ahead and dive into these books and talk about them. Alright, so the first book that I'm going to talk about is a book that I DNF'd. I had 2 books that I DNF'd last year. The first one being Friendship by Emily Gould. This one, it started out so strong, and I was very excited to read this because the synopsis drew me in, where it was about these 2 girls who have been best friends for like ever. Like they were like, it's like they were like 25 or 30 years. They like have been best friends, been there for everything, every moment of their life. And now they're adults. And it like kind of like that idea and that concept reminded me of me and my best friend, because we've been friends for almost 30 years, and she's amazing. I cannot imagine life without her, but that's besides the point. So in this story, I really related to this story because there was this one girl who was struggling with infertility. I struggled with infertility. And then there was the other girl who had like no problems with infertility, and she was like came from a very religious background, and like I related to both of the characters really well. And then the idea of abortion came up, and I'm sorry, for me the abortion trope is a trigger. And I mean, I don't want to start a fight here on my channel, okay? But I don't know. I guess the last thing I want to do is start a fight here. So let me try to figure out my thoughts. It's not that I have a problem with abortion, okay? Personally, I have mixed feelings about it. I don't know how I really feel about it. But reading it in books bothers me, and I can't. As soon as I saw that word abortion, I closed the book and no, gone. I could not do this book. And It was super hard. I was like thoroughly enjoying it. And I even had like annotations in my book and everything like that. I was really enjoying it. But then that topic came up and I was like, I can't. That is a trigger point for me. I cannot do it. I can't. Using abortion as a form of birth control, I'm sorry, I can't. I just can't. So, I mean, it definitely, if you're okay with that, then this book is for you. But this one was just, it wasn't it for me. I'm sorry. All right, so the next book that I have that was a DNF, and this one, I was actually a little disappointed because I've read one of her other books before, actually last year. But this one, I don't know if it was the BDSM in it. I don't know if it was the kidnapper thing. I couldn't do it. But that is Bad Saint by Monica James. I listened to the audiobook for this one and probably got about halfway through it, and it just was not vibing with it at all. I just couldn't vibe with this at all. I ended up definitely DNFing it. It was, so this one was, as far as I got, was about a girl who had married this guy, like he seemed like the love of her life and whatnot, and then she ends up getting kidnapped by a bunch of, I think it was Russians, and it goes from there with BDSM. Like, I can tell you that's probably my trigger point. I cannot do BDSM. I don't know what it is. It just, I can't. I immediately scrapped that. Like, I was actually debating reaching out to Audible to get my credit back because I really did not like this book at all. So now we're going to talk about the worst books that I read. I have 4 of them. Again, this is just my own opinions, and this is not to downgrade any authors or anything like that. If you loved these books, then I'm happy for you, but these were just not for me. So, Murder at the Royal Ruby by Nita Prose. So this one, I feel like it was a very short story, so maybe for me it was missing something. That's why I really didn't care for it. But I don't know. It's literally about a murder that took place in this like theater, and I feel like there wasn't enough information with it. I feel like it just didn't have like the murder I was looking for, and you know, I definitely didn't vibe with this. I ended up giving it 2 stars. It just was not for me. Not a fan. It was only 27 pages, so it was like one of those like little short books that it's like, oh, okay, I'll read this one before I read the Mosquito by B.A. Paris. I don't think I have that one on here, but I mean, that wasn't one of the worst books, but this one is just like not something I'd recommend. That's why it's on my list of the worst books. So moving on. Alright, so the next one I have is The Other Belle by Whitney G. I wanted to like this book so much. I really, truly, honestly did. The idea of this was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but personally, I feel like, yes, it had that Beauty and the Beast retelling aspect to it, but they were also throwing in like other fairy tales and stuff. And if you're going to do a fairy tale retelling, stick to one fairy tale. Don't go into like throw like the other fairy tales in there. I mean, personal opinion, but there was definitely something Beauty and the Beast that was missing from this. Why is my cat crying? Next! There was definitely something going on that just, when you're trying to piece together a Beauty and the Beast and then you throw in other fairy tales in there, this just did not work for me. And again, it might work for you. It just, for me, that just didn't work. And I believe, I don't remember what I gave it for a rating. I ended up giving The Other Belle 2 stars. Just wasn't for me. So, okay, so I miscounted. I actually had 1, 2, 3 books that were the worst books, and I had 2 DNF books. So the last book that I'm going to talk about with my worst books is one of the worst books I have ever read when it comes to polycystic ovarian syndrome. If you guys don't already know, I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it affects 1 in 8 women in the world, and it makes it really hard to get pregnant. And I recommend doing a little bit of a rabbit hole research on what polycystic ovarian syndrome is, because there's a lot of information out there. But do not pick up this book. This is one of the worst books I have ever seen in my entire life when it comes to what polycystic ovarian syndrome is and the lifestyle that you should be living. Okay? This guide is the worst thing ever. Like, I really wish I could take this information that I got from this book and out of my brain. One, this book is unforgettable, or is unforgettable. This book is non-unforgettable. Why can't I think of the word? I basically forgot everything from this book. And I don't know if the information from this book is outdated, but do yourself a favor and stay away from this book. As somebody who has polycystic ovarian syndrome, I am no expert on it. Like, I am no doctor, but I've lived with this for a while, and this information that I can personally tell you is wrong. And it is the worst thing ever. Just stay away. Just stay away. Like, maybe, like, if a doctor who studies polycystic ovarian syndrome would read this book and tell me, like, that it's accurate, like, everything's okay in this book, sure. But otherwise than that, this one, worst thing I've ever read in my entire life. Alrighty, so that is all I have for you today. If you made it this far in this video, thank you. I appreciate you. As always, every book that I mention is listed down below, so you can go check them out for yourself, because these are my own opinions. You might like them, you might not, but this is how I felt about them, and I'm sorry if I talked about your favorite book. But that is all I have, and tomorrow we are going to be talking about my most anticipated releases for 2024. I'm so excited for that video. I've got so many good books I'm really excited for. So you don't want to miss that. Make sure you hit and subscribe so you don't miss that. We still have another 11 days to go on this reading reset. And it's going to be fun. So thank you so much for watching, guys. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.